everyone. Donald J. Brower, GardenStateHSWrestling.com podcast near fall. Thank you for joining me. Big week we've had, wrapping up as we're kind of head towards the end of the season. We got most of the county tournaments pretty much done. It's going to be that kind of weird week where people kind of are picking up matches, seeing if they could get some stuff done. And the other teams are going to be getting ready to head towards the sectionals, which the seeding for that should be out in the next couple of days. I've heard Monday, Tuesday. We'll see. We'll see how that all goes. But before we start looking forward, we got to look to the people who got us here and our sponsors, Champion Athletes, Dan Warnikoff. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm almost beating you in the head with a little mini hammer with it right now. Dan Warnikoff is the man if you want to have that extra edge when it comes to your wrestling. And what I mean by that is you could do all the training. You could do all the private sessions. You could do what you need to do. But you need the fuel. You need that energy, because how many times when you're in the big matches or when you get down to a districts or regions or states and you're wrestling so much, you get that loss of energy. You need Dan to help you out. And Dan's proven it with Del Barton and multiple schools in not only New Jersey, but, not even in this country. He's done stuff in Canada and all over. And he's also done it for non-athletes. So if you want to feel better, lose weight, and still have that energy, talk to Dan Warnikoff. And Harrington family. The construction, Hoffman Landscaping and Recycling, big proponents of what we do this year. It's the Harrington press box when we interview people. So thank you so much to the Harrington family for all you've done for us this year. Now, as I said, we kind of got some county tournaments out of the way, but we also have some really big matchups this week. Now, not all of the divisions have been decided because of that. I don't know if you want to call it snowstorm, slushy-filled water, whatever happened on Wednesday. Push some matches back. So when you head to the Big North, Passaic Valley locked up a share of the Independence division with their 40-28 win over Fairlawn. They're tied for first. Now, the other match was supposed to happen that night, but it's been pushed back to February 8th, is Wayne Hills facing West Milford in West Milford. If West Milford wins, they're going to clinch a share of the Independence title. If they don't, Passaic Valley is going to win it outright. Wayne Hills is going to be a tough matchup for him. I think West Milford can pull it out, but we'll see. You never know, especially when it gets to that point. It'll be right before districts, and you don't know how much you want to push the kids at that point. The other one that was a clincher was in the Liberty Division, which if you watched, you saw it live on GardenStateHSWrestling.com when James Clark and I conflated your name there, James. Sorry about that. James Clark and I called the PCTI versus Clifton match. Now, they wrestled 2 weeks ago on the 14th, roughly 11 days before, and that was a different story, as if you remember watching during the Big North public championships, Clifton won 36-33. The difference here, and one of the big matchups I saw, was between Goleta and Balanzagay, who was beaten in the previous match and wound up coming back and wrestling more of a different style a little bit. And it was a frustrating style for Goleta because you kind of see at the end he was a little upset. But so Ricardo winds up winning for PCTI. That's the big swing in my eyes. That was what the difference was, because as it broke down, Clifton had a pin out, and that was going to be tough for them with certain wrestlers. So big win for PCTI. They clinched the Liberty division. There may be a rubber match in this series because both are in the same section. And from looking at the ranking, unless they change somehow, they're going to be 1 and 2. So we might be seeing a sectional final from these two teams. So it's going to be very interesting to see as they kind of, head up there and get everything going. Another matchup that was big in the Skylands Raritan division, it was also postponed with the weather. Warren Hills beat North Hunterdon on criteria, 35-34. That helped Warren Hills clinch a share of the Raritan division, which we'll talk a little bit about what happened later on, but they clinched it, and it was a really good rebound match for North Hunterdon. I know they had a couple, losses, and for them to be in with a team like that, I think it showed just how really close it is. And you talk about criteria D. You take nothing away from either team. It's just one of those you kind of go, okay, nod your head, and you just realize next time you give them, you get a better shot. Another another matchup we covered that day was our first time we covered the Essex County finals. Now, I know I joke a lot about everybody on here when they talk about, oh, we're expanding. When I tell you, I get calls and emails and, people will message me on Facebook. Oh, why don't you come do this tournament? Why don't you? I'm getting asked to do different counties. I'm getting asked to do, different everything. And the problem is, especially around now, a lot of these county tournaments are the same day. So it's tough to get it all set up. But we went down, we did Essex County. It was at the Cody Arena, 2 mats. Interesting format, too, for the finals. They had 2 mats, and instead of doing like you would a traditional 106, 113 and going like that, the mat I called started at 106 and went up, and the mat James Clark was on started at heavyweight and went down. So very interesting, evening it up. Seton Hall Prep ran away with it. I think at count, they had 12 finalists and 10 champions. A little bit at the end, with some injuries, prematurely ending matches, which nobody wants to win that way. But, great time we had at Essex County, and look for us to be doing some more with Essex County when it comes to wrestling. If not this year, but definitely next year. They loved what we did. So Essex County might be one of those hidden areas in the old video games that you just discover. So now we'll have a new area to be adding to the coverage area. Then I said we talked a little bit about Warren Hills. They go down. They have a really good match on Friday against Hackettstown, a rival. I remember when I went to Warren Hills, it was a rivalry with Hackettstown. They go there. They raise some money for a great cause for one of the parents who's been ill. They raise some money for him. So great cause. But then they have a quick turnaround because you go from a Friday night match to an early Saturday match, and they wind up losing to Delaware Valley 39-23. So kind of gives Del Valle a share of the title as well. And we might actually wind up with a 3-way tie for that conference title, depending on how North finishes out with some of their upcoming matches. But Warren Hills was in control. And a lot of people have asked, I wouldn't personally, that's just me. That schedule was made up a year ago. I don't really understand doing a match where it's nighttime on a Friday and then you're turning around early on a Saturday, especially against a division rival who you knew was going to be up for it, especially after, this is no disrespect to Del Valle, but the thumping they received last year in Warren Hills, the match we covered, they knew that, those kids were going to be ready to go for it. So it's just, I question having it so close together, but I'm not the one who's paid to make those decisions. But from an outsider point of view, I would question that decision. Now, the big thing we covered on the 28th, this past Saturday, the Morris County tournament. We didn't live stream. I'll get to that in a second. We didn't live stream. I'll get to that. Big win for Del Barton. I mean, Del Barton always really cruises. It's their 14th in a row. They finished first with 313 points. Second was Mount Olive with 172. Mount Olive was a top public school. Had some really good matchups too in the finals. I mean, we had some really, really quality matchups. As far as the top goes there at the Morris County tournament, like I said, Del Barton was first, Mount Olive was second. Hanover Park wound up jumping West Morris with their win at 190 when Vincenzo Laval beat Vincent Lee. That jumped them in the third by 1 point over West Morris, who finished fourth. Fifth was Morris Knolls. Sixth was Jefferson. Seventh was Morris Hills. Eighth was Roxbury. Ninth was Morristown, and 10th was Butler. I'll have that all updated and everything on the site. We got home late, and it was just a long day. But as I did previously, looking towards everything, my OW, there's only one person I could have looked at. And when I watched all the matches, and all the videos are up now, we posted each match individually. So what it will be is, instead of being the whole tournament, it's 106 with the placard, the match, and then our post-match interview, all in one convenient clip. And they're posted on our YouTube page and on all our socials and on individual pages too. For example, for like Roxbury, I posted theirs on there. Mount Olive, I also posted in their groups. But mentioning Roxbury, my OW of the week was also the OW of the tournament, and that's Luke Stanich, who's just had an amazing career. And the run he's had this year with winning his 100th, especially with COVID and bouncing back from the loss in the state finals last year. He was my OW. I got a chance to catch up with him right after the tournament, and this is that interview. I'm here with the champion at 126, the OW, Luke Stanich. Luke, talk about this. I know your senior year, your great run in your career through Roxbury, your family through Roxbury. Just what you're feeling right now.
I'm feeling really good. I mean, that wasn't really expected. I go out there and I try and put up as many points as possible. So, it's really my intent to try and pin everybody or tech everybody. I didn't get that done, but I think I had some pretty solid wins. You know what I mean? So the Morris County tournament's always fun. It's an honor to be OW, I guess.
Talk about that final. Campanaro, a quality kid who I would not be shocked if you saw later on down, at one in AC. Just kind of what you did with him and what you were looking for. Because I know a lot of people were like, you go out there and you want to wrestle your match and you see what he does. What do you do when you wrestle a guy like that?
I mean, me and Campanaro have had so many back and forth, not back and forth, but really good matches throughout high school. So I know he's a tough competitor, and I know he goes for those low ankle shots, but I like to wrestle my match. So I just go out there, try and put my hands on people. Whatever he does, I know I can react to it because I got good shot defense. But I'm just going out there wrestling my match, having fun, scoring as many points as possible. But over the last year, I really changed my mindset going into matches, and the target is mainly to have fun for me now. So if I'm going out there scoring points, that's fun to me, and I'll come out on top every time.
Was that a change? Because I know, we talked about last year, you making the finals. Obviously, you're on a path of destruction to try to get down there and win again. Was that something you changed, heading in here? Because, it's been a great year for you so far, not only OW, getting your 100th, stuff like that. Just has been a career year for you. Is that kind of behind it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think around last year is when I started changing my mentality, less nervousness going out there. I mean, for the state final last year, I didn't really have any nerves at all. I was just going out there. I was like, listen, this is a great opportunity. So I think that just kind of built up, and now my confidence, I got really high confidence. I don't look past anybody, but I'm going out there to have fun. I mean, it's a sport, so I think that definitely helps me a lot. And a lot of kids feel so much pressure on their back that they don't go out there and they wrestle their best. So that's what I do.
Best of luck, and like I said, I'm sure we're going to be talking in districts, regions, and states.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. It's always fun to talk to Luke. He's one of those kids. People ask me all the time, do you root for kids? You try not to because you're pressed. But there's certain kids when they get to a situation and they're top wrestlers, you always like to see those kids succeed. And it's fun for me as somebody who's not only covered Luke, but his family and the Staniches and the Reamers from before in the past. You kind of get caught up into it. So you really like to see those kids succeed. So the way he wrestled a great kid in Michael Campanaro from West Morris, taking nothing away from Campanaro, who's I said it during the match. I think Campanaro medals. Depending on what weight he goes, I still think he gets on the podium. That's not a question for me. That's just kind of how much faith I have in him. And Luke was just out there doing a great job, and was on there and came over and talked to us and talked to everybody. But it was great seeing everybody at the Morris County tournament too, because everybody knows the issue. The last few years, everything that's been going on and how it is. I had to put down my equipment multiple times as I was walking in because hey Don, everybody shaking your hands. It was really cool. It was almost like a wrestling high school reunion, if you want to say that. So it was great seeing everybody and kind of doing that. But the one thing I'll say, and please understand, there's nothing I can do about it. I had so many people complain to me about the quality of the stream of the tournament. That's not my decision. I'm out of the loop. That's like me arguing with me about the Yankees signing Aaron Judge or something like that. I have no say. That is not my issue. I will say this. If you have an issue with it, please bring that up to your athletic directors and your coach. They're the only ones that can really make a change. That's not my decision. All I will say is personally on my behalf, looking at what I saw, thought it was atrocious, that stream. Nothing against who was doing it, nothing against that, but you're getting paid a pretty penny without getting too much into it. Spend the money and have an individual stream. I know we did it. We did it a year ago for the HWS tournament. We had a camera on each mat with the scoreboard. It's not that hard or expensive. You have to get it done. When you get paid to do something, either do it right or don't do it all. That is an embarrassment to the wrestling community that they had to look through there and have basically the live stream have a little corner of a screen and hopefully you knew what kid was wrestling. It was like guess your wrestler. It was like Where in the world is my wrestler wrestling right now? That's Carmen San Diego for you youngins who might not know that theme. The old people are laughing at it right now, but I digress. I don't want to get too much on a rant against the used car salesman. That's he knows what he did. If he feels happy with that, he needs to look himself in the mirror. I guess I went back to it, but couple upcoming things. We don't have too much on the upcoming week. We have some really good matchups. A lot of fill-in matchups. Nothing crazy. There's a few that really stand out that I'm going to talk about on Wednesday. We're actually going to be covering a match, but before I get to that, I always love this match. I call it the Bullet Brawl. Newton comes down to Morris Hills. The brothers Bullet will wrestle each other. That'll be a solid matchup, and it's always fun because they love matching wits and getting everything done. So that's always a great matchup. The one we're going to be covering is the Battle of the Sister Schools in Mendham, as James Clark and I will be calling the West Morris Wolfpack coming over and facing the Mendham Minutemen. Always love that matchup. Full disclosure, when I went to Mendham when I was in ninth grade, so I've kind of experienced that rivalry. And then we moved, and I wound up going to West Morris for 6 months-ish. And then my mom got scammed on where we were living and told it was still West Morris, but it turns out it was Hackettstown / Warren Hills. That's why I went to so many high schools when I was in high school. But always love that matchup. You love seeing those guys, and it's a community thing. These kids come up together, so it's a very fun matchup to see. And you don't have to worry about anything crazy. Everybody, for the most part, there's always one or two outliers. You can never guarantee anything. The parents get along, so it's always fun to kind of do that and see everybody. It's a fun time. That Friday, we're actually going to be doing another rivalry match. We're going to be having Morris Knolls, the Golden Eagles, going up to Morris Hill, the Scarlet Knights, the sister schools combating there. It's going to be myself and James Clark, and we're working on possibly, I'm not going to spoil it, but we're possibly going to have a guest commentator with us who, I don't know if this will really give it away, but is a former second place winner and medalist for Morris Knolls. Now there's a couple, so it might be a trick question, but they're going to be sitting in and joining us and doing that. So, I mean, that'll be a fun matchup. And then we're going to be hopefully coming up here in the next couple of weeks. They're going to be releasing the forms. We're going to try, like I said, we're going to obviously try to get the sectional final match if PCTI and Clifton are in there. I spoke with a couple schools about, live streaming possibly a district or two. And then the plan right now is for regions, we're going to be at region 1. Not 100% sure how it's going to break down. I think if the way it breaks down like last year, region 1 would be up on a paywall, $5 to watch the finals. Say you going up there, depending on it. Last year we had a great time and almost a captive audience because they were the only region delayed because of the weather. But we're going to possibly do that again. Not sure about how they want to set it up with districts. Possibly similar, so that we can see, 2 local districts if you're, at somewhere else and you kind of see what's going on. But we've got a lot of stuff coming up, and I really, before we get too deep into it, I want to thank everybody. I mean, the hospitality I got in Essex, the hospitality I got in Morris, people coming up and thanking me. I had so many people in Morris come up and shake my hand, and I love meeting people, but it's funny because I never got the impression that like I was out there knowing, as the wrestling guy. And people will come up and call your name and you kind of give them that look like, do I know you? But it's it's funny. I love the feedback when I talk because it's always, I can count on my hand maybe the 1 or 2 times in my entire career it's ever been like, whoa, like calm down. Like everybody's always been super respectful, and I appreciate it. So if you see me out, if you see me at a match, please come up, say hello. I always enjoy feedback. I'll always kind of put my decisions out there. I'm always accountable. So like in that vein, I did my predictions for the Morris County tournament. They should be up, right around when you're seeing this. If not already, we'll have them up. I think we're going to do this week with everything. We'll have the live streams. There's not really anything coming up, but I mean, this is one of those, this is the calm before the storm, because don't forget, we're going to start that next Monday. And the format's changed this year, just for anybody who forgot. For the sections, it's going to be the first 2 rounds on Monday at the higher seed, and the other 2 rounds at the lower seed. Then the winners of each are going to meet at the highest seed's home gym. So for example, PCTI hosts on Monday, Clifton hosts on Monday. They win both their matches, they advance to the final at who's ever the higher seed. Then the winner of that match will advance to Friday, which will be the group semis, and that'll be determined by power points, who's the higher seed. And then the winners of that will go down to Rutgers and wrestle in the group championships on Sunday. Then right after that, we head right to districts, right to regions. And next thing you know, we're in the big bright lights of Atlantic City. So this is the fun time. We're getting ready to hit everything. It's going to be an amazing ride. Stick with us. Follow us on our socials. You'll see them up there as far as with our Instagram, with our Facebook, Twitter at Garden State HSW, Instagram, GardenStateHSWrestling.com, Facebook, Garden State HS Wrestling, and YouTube. Like and subscribe. The amount of likes and subscribes and people watching our stuff is mind-boggling to me. How many people I see getting added every day. And keep it up, because like I said, you'll get notified when these go up, when our live broadcasts go up, the postseason stuff we do. When I do my, I usually do the videos, but we're going to do a live reveal of who my, all area teams are. I mean, we're going to be doing a ton of content. So if you love wrestling the way I do and you want to keep up on the know, hit those like and subscribes and follow us on all our social medias. But for Jared, the podcasting legend, who, by the way, did an amazing job this week. So, if I think he might put his Venmo information on here. So if you want to throw him a couple bucks, I don't know. But I just kidding, Jared. You don't have to put that up there. But for Jared, the podcasting legend, for everyone who was Bill supportive this week, my beautiful wife who came to the MCTs and, is not a wrestling fan, but helped me in any way just to make sure it was, a great time. I'm Donald J. Brower. Check us out this week. Like I said, we're going to be at Mendham on Wednesday. We're going to be at Morris Hills on Friday. We're going to have a lot more stuff coming up. So I'll see you Matt side.